Hours pass, and soon it was nightfall. The little engines still remained in the tunnel and didn't dare move. How much longer do we have to stay in this tunnel? Well, if we stay here any longer, Duncan and Sir Handel will catch up to us. We need to get out of here now. Well, if we make a run for it through the other side of the tunnel, we'll make it out of Sodor by morning. But Duke, that's too risky. The only way we could get to Brendam Docks is if a standard gauge engine takes us there. I agree with Fallo9ut. Even if there were narrow gauge tracks leading to Brendam Docks, how are we supposed to get there without getting detected by any other mutants? Well, risky or not, it's our only chance of escaping from Sodor. Then it's settled. We need to flag down the nearest standard gauge engine that passes. The engines didn't have to wait long, for they heard a normal whistle. The little engines peeked out of the tunnel to investigate and saw Duck puffing past the tunnel with a few flatbeds. Rheneas let out a whistle to flag Duck down and explained everything. I was just taking Mike, Rex, and Bert over there. Hop in. And the narrow gauge engines were loaded onto the flatbeds by the breakdown train on the back of Duck's train. And when the engines were loaded in, Duck set off. When they got to the docks, Duck proceeded to load the little engines onto the ship that was leaving for the mainland. By then, the sun was rising, signifying a new day. They were just loading the last of the engines in when the breakdown train broke down, with Duke still hanging on. Worse to come, a mutated Gordon spotted them and was racing towards them. Fallo9ut wanted to go back for Duck and Duke, but was stopped by Rusty. The mutant Gordon caught up with Duck and crashed into him. The impact caused the crane to drop Duke into the water. All the other little engines could do was watch in horror as they lost their friends. By this point, Fallo9ut was getting angry that he kept failing to save his friends. Rheneas comforted him and told him that this was out of their control. And for the rest of the morning and into the afternoon, the little engines set off for the mainland on the ship. When they got to the mainland, they were unloaded from the ship and were still shaking from the events that took place the night before. I can't believe Grandpuff and Falcon are gone. It's all my fault. I should have went back for them. Don't you dare say that, Fallo9ut. None of this was any of our faults. Rheneas is right. There is nothing we could have done about last night's events. And with that, the engines continued to explore the mainland. It wasn't long before the engines heard a deformed whistle. A mutated Spencer spotted them and raced towards them. Fallo9ut, Rheneas, and Peter Sam wasted no time getting out of there. Rusty also tried to move, but he couldn't. Guys, I've run out of fuel. You'll have to go without me. No, Rusty, I'm not about to leave another one of my friends behind. Without wasting any time, Fallo9ut coupled on to Rusty and pulled him along. The little engines raced at speeds they had never gone before, with the mutated Spencer not far behind. Fallo9ut, you have to let me go. All I'll do is slow you down. Out of the question, Rusty. I already lost Duncan, Sir Handel, and Duke. I'm not about to lose you too. Rusty decided to take matters into his own buffers and uncoupled from Fallo9ut. Rusty, what are you doing? I'll keep Spencer busy. You guys get out of here. No, Rusty, don't! But it was too late. The mutated Spencer caught up with Rusty, while the other three engines had no choice but to make a run for it. The other three engines escaped, but now all that was left was Peter Sam, Rheneas, and Fallo9ut. Why is this happening to us? Why are we all turning into mutants? It's the radiation from the nuclear plant. Instead of killing us, it's turning us into mutant monsters. While on the mainland, the three engines found an abandoned shed and took shelter there. That night, Peter, Sam, and Rheneas were fast asleep. But Fallo9ut was wide awake. He couldn't stop thinking about Duke, Duncan, Sir Handel, and Rusty. I could have saved them. I could have saved Duke, Sir Handel, Duncan, and Rusty. Why did that radiation have to take them away? The guilt kept him awake all night long. And by the next morning, he was very tired. Rheneas understood this and assured Skarloey that it was in no way his fault. He also told Skarloey to get some more rest while he went to find coal and water. Peter Sam went with Rheneas to make sure that he didn't go out alone. And Skarloey watched as his two friends went to find coal and water. 20 minutes later, he heard a frightened whistle. It was Peter Sam rushing towards him. Skarloey, take some coal and get out of here now. Rheneas was just mutated. Well, you didn't have to tell Skarloey twice. He rushed out of the shed and filled up with coal and water. They were just about to leave when Peter Sam felt a horrible pain. All poor Skarloey could do was watch in horror as Peter Sam mutated.